NEWS.MC on Monaco Info is brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties. Our exclusive interview with the personalities making the Principality.
My name is Pierre Van Klaveren from VKP Business Advisors. I was born and raised in Monaco, and I spent all my childhood and basically all the schoolings in Monaco. So I left Monaco when I was around 18, I think. So from 0 to 18 in Monaco. I studied 2 years in France nearby, and then I left and I went to Canada first, then Spain, then Australia. I studied communications mainly, and then the last year I made a master's in international relations. So I had a master's in communication in Australia, and then I went back to Spain and studied in international relations. When I came back to Monaco in 2011, I joined the Monaco government. This is where I met my business partner right now in everything I do and in everything we do, basically Emmerich. So we worked for what was called the Monaco Welcome and Business Office at that stage, and our boss was Laurence Garino. So we had the chance to meet there and then to start doing something that was really exciting, because our role there was to advise people, and it wasn't even about advising at that stage. It was more about helping people who wanted to become Monaco resident and or who wanted to actually set up businesses. And we had the chance of being able to actively participate in everything, that starting with Monsieur Roger, who was the Ministry of State at that stage, with the attractivity. So Monaco, instead of being turned inside, turned outside, and so there was a new Monaco government website, which was a big deal at that stage. I mean, Monaco was late, and we most probably are still late on many things compared to other countries or city-states. But at that point, it was and it was the main thing, because Monaco was providing information, which until then, many and all those who came to Monaco before actually were saying that the most difficult was to get access to this information. So this is where everything kind of started, because we met with Emmerich. I mean, we only had met before on football fields, and he was playing in a different team than I was, and this time we were in the same team, so it was fun. We have that core activity, obviously, of helping people relocate to Monaco and setting up a business activity or gaining residency in Monaco. To be honest, as we always said, and as we always say to everybody, of course there are some fields which could be sensitive, so we could be subjected to the need of a specific knowledge of the principality per se. Good or bad, long or short, more or less expensive. Right now, if someone wants to become a Monaco resident, or if someone wants to set up a business activity, that person, if they fit the basic requirements, no criminal record, no bad business history, that the activity obviously in Monaco is doable, you'll manage it. Whether they do it through us, whether they do it through other people, I think at the end they will manage it. What we wanted to provide, and what we like to think we provide to our clients, is basically a global approach on why do we take each and every step, the reason behind it. It's not just like, you want to do this? Okay, I'll do it. I know better, don't worry. But it's more like, okay, we're going right for that reason. If you don't want to go right, we can discuss it, but at least you know why we're going right. And this is kind of how we operate. We do think that there's a need for specifics, but what was missing for us was more the general understanding. Monaco is extremely international. We all know that. When you go to the Monaco government, it might be very well accepted, obviously English-speaking countries, but it might be the government where you can have people speaking that many languages. Most of now the civil servant would speak English, maybe not perfect fluent English, but they could speak English. Lots of them do speak Italian, and then now you have some Russian speakers, Spanish speakers. I mean, there's a lot. So for someone coming and being in touch with the Monaco government over the phone or meeting in person, you always find a way to be understood. Now, everything that comes written, all the official communications, are done in French. The articles of association of your companies, they are in French as well. So this is where basically the whole thing could seem overwhelming for someone that comes in. If you don't have the answers, then it becomes a lot less simple. We opened our first business together, so VKP, in 2019, in October 2019. And then we gave enough time, if we had the opportunity, to get people coming in so we could train them. Because what we always wanted was that everything that we had built, or that we had the chance to participate into building, that this could continue. We had chats with people that were way more experienced than us, that had way more success than us. And we realized that those people were actually coming here and had exchange with you. I mean, they were asking your opinion, but not just for the show, it's because they actually cared about it. And behind it, you realize that every time you meet someone, there's always something you can learn. That was like the most exciting thing, is you could see people. Some of them, when you watch them working into your office, you would know, and others you just wouldn't even believe or realize how important or successful they could have been. And then when that person sits with you and starts talking to you, and it's not a lecture, they're just exchanging point of views, and this is what was very interesting. And then for us, we decided to leave the government, but not out of frustration or anything. It's just that we thought that we could do something different. There was a gap here, and there was something that could be taken off and that could help people around, and obviously that could be useful. And that was like the main sense. Anyone who would like to undertake any type of commercial activity in Monaco has to ask and obtain prior business permit. Exception, obviously, with Monaco citizens for specific activities which are not subjected to business permit, but they're more declared. Now, that business permit application, that business permit per se, it has been seen as a kind of a proof or a guarantee that you have provided the necessary information for the Monaco authorities to consider that your business activity is going to be positive for Monaco. Here we're not talking about how big of a business turnover you're making or how many employees you're going to have, because that has nothing to see with Monaco. I mean, you have 5 employees in Monaco, you're almost a multinational company. Now, what is true is, with everything that has happened in general, and in Monaco even more, with the grey list, but even before we got onto that grey list, operating a business activity in Monaco has been a bit more of challenging facing than what it was before. Bank accounts, I mean, opening bank accounts and managing an activity with the Monaco bank accounts and with all the compliance that are linked to that could be at some point a bit frustrating. We're lucky now, we've been operating for 7 to 8 years, so we do have connections with the banks in Monaco. We'd like to use those connections with the banks so that basically we could get a faster understanding on how complicated or not complicated the account opening could be. By calling the different banks, I mean, you know the corporate banks anyway, most of them are the French banks. In having a good view on, okay, what's this activity? This is yachting. Oh, with this bank it's going to be complicated. Let's knock on that bank's door because we know that they might be a bit more prone into accepting, or it's more about that. It's more about how to structure even the process itself rather than shortcutting, because at the end we can't really do. What Monaco is looking is not how rich you are. It doesn't really matter. What they're looking at is making sure that you could live decently in Monaco, you could pay your rent, and your children could go to school, and this is kind of how it's been seen. And this is how it should be presented, because that's exactly it. The Monaco authorities, it's not like you're not rich, you can't come. It's not about that. Then after, there's one aspect that is to be taken into account as well, is the nationality. But just because you might need a visa to come from Monaco, which means then visa application are managed by the French authorities in the country where you live. So according to the nationality, the people might need to start their process from their own country of living before actually coming to Monaco. When a French speaker speaks English, when you say Monaco to an English-speaking person, the first thing they say is, oh, Morocco. And then so you have to explain. And then obviously it depends. The Americans, Grace Kelly, that was the first thing that they were saying. So they had to have a certain age, obviously, but this is the first thing they were talking about, is Prince Rainier and Princess Grace being married. So this is how the Americans will label us on that. And then, I mean, if you were talking with people who were keen on sports, then obviously they would talk about Formula One, so they would know. Some would talk about the tennis, others might talk about the football team. And then for others, it was obviously kind of different. I mean, we all had that experience. I mean, I remember when I was in Canada the first time, I met some Americans, and some of them were asking me whether we had, lights or water or, or things like that. But you can't be bothered with this because, as I said, I mean, you're tiny anyway, so you know that at some points people might not, know you. So it's not something that is annoying, but sometimes it's funny. So it's rather being attractive and explaining to the people that there's more under the surface than having people not caring at all about it. That's what I think. The feeling of being Monegasque, I think, goes far beyond the nationality. And those who've been rooted to Monaco and those who actually have lived there and enjoyed that culture, they are at least as much Monegasque as the Monegasque citizens. And that is something that is a win because Monaco has managed to keep that kind of pace and peace within all different nationalities, within all different cultures. And everybody is actually interested and looking into keeping that going because everybody realizes that there are advantages for everyone. Monaco has managed, and that's throughout the whole history. I mean, Monaco's history is very, very rich, but one thing that we can always see as a trend is that every bit of challenge, every bit of setback actually was transformed into a strength. And the principality, obviously, throughout history was the different reigning princes, but the whole population in general that actually manages to, every setback that we had, to change it into a strength. All those setbacks, I mean, obviously the casino, and closer in time because we did leave it and we all experienced it. I mean, COVID, that capacity that Monaco had to remain open into brackets during COVID when most of the countries were in lockdown, that was proof of strength. It meant that the Monaco, let's say, health system was in capacity of dealing with the crisis, but that every person who was in Monaco was in capacity as well of respecting the rules because they knew that at one point you had to wear the mask, that you had to do this, that you had to do that, and that if everybody was doing it in an orderly manner, then we could keep enjoying it. I've been born and raised in Monaco, and when during my school years, we had lots of Italians that were coming here and that were coming as a family, staying until the children turned 12, 16, 18, because then they could go to boarding schools, either in Switzerland or in the UK. This is the trend we used to see. And then the parents might stay and then the children might come back and work. Then after, Monaco was attracting younger entrepreneurs. The main reason for people to relocate to Monaco has shifted. It used to be, obviously, most of the time from a tax perspective. At least that was one of the main arguments. Right now, and I'm sure everybody in Monaco could see that. When you're in Monaco, when you've got people that ask about Monaco, when they tell you about why they wanted to come to Monaco, you don't see the economy that much. Of course, it's important, the Monaco, but we see safety, stability, and that's thanks obviously to how Monaco is structured with our prince, obviously, but with the fact that the government officers, they're not elected, but they're named by the prince, which means that we have that chance to being able to plan on many, many years, which most of the other countries, they can't do because you're elected for a mandate, which is 4, 5 years, maybe 7 in some countries, and you need to have results. Now, we know that the biggest and the most structuring of the work you would do might take more than 5 years. And that's the chance we have here because they should be in capacity of doing something and having that long-term view because they're not elected. Whatever you want to do, it's actually easy. The only reason why it could look complicated sometimes is because you didn't get it from, the good way from the beginning. Our job is basically to make it easy and understandable. Our strong belief is that if you understand something and you know exactly what is going to happen, disregarding the happy ending, let's say, which is obviously unluckily for us mainly the case, but even if it's an unhappy ending for a business permit application, for example, from the moment that you've been given all the information with transparency and that you've been given all the advices as if I was sitting in your shoes, nothing can go wrong. This is what we truly believe in, is just that we can't always win, But at least what's important is to make sure that the person we have in front of us has obtained all the information that are needed to take the decision that they consider is the best for them. That's the good thing with Monaco, is that you usually don't have to have a winning argument, actually. I mean, Monaco sells itself alone. And that's the good thing. I mean, the people we get as clients, they're already captive in the sense that they hear because they know this is where they want to go. The difficult part for me, I think, with Monaco and with everything else, is not to get the people to come, is to get them to stay. And that's the important point. And I think that for people to stay, they need to have the clearest view of the country before they actually establish themselves in here. And there are some downsides about being in Monaco. Definitely, there will always be. Traffic could be one of them, but people need to know about it. If you know about it, then you can adapt once again. And then you know what's coming and you know what you are getting. Once they know, then they adapt and they proceed. And every time you take the next steps, you have no surprises. And if you don't have any surprises, you can't be disappointed.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching NEWS.MC, your English rendezvous on Monaco Info. Discover more interviews and stories on our websites, NEWS.MC and MonacoInfo.com. This show was brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties.